Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Warren,
This is Jay.
and we the Eagles Collective, and we just gonna talk about a little bit of last game and the game to come, and some news and injuries. So first, we'll get started with that disappointing Jets game. Uh,
Terrible.
the terrible, bro. The Eagles um, passed for 45 yards and rushed for only 22 yards. And I know when we talked last week. Uh, our way to winning this game was going to be the rushing
Yeah,
game.
I think you meant they had 45 rush passing attempts. You mean right?
Yeah, 45 passing attempts.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we honestly with 45 passing attempts and 22 rushing attempts, it should be flipped, and I think we
Should
would have
be.
seen a better game. Uh,
Absolutely.
Jay, what do you think?
Overall, the game was just very sloppy. To be shut out in the second half after shutting out a team in the second half the week before didn't feel good. We put up no second half points, so that wasn't anything to be proud on. But it's a game I feel like they gave away and they beat themselves once again. It reminds me of the game last year at Washington when they took their first loss of the season, a game they had several opportunities to win and put away. So, the first loss they lost, they lose it's not a blowout. They didn't get smoked, but they played terribly. Jalen on that last interception. I've never seen him make such a throw like that in the coverage. So it was not cool. It wasn't a fun game at all to watch. It was very brutal that second half for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where watching the game, I said, why aren't y'all just not running? Why just not run the
Yeah,
ball? Just give it to
yeah.
Swift or just give it to Gainwell. So my question to you on it is, do you feel like that game was more on the players, or would you say it was more on the coaching play?
Well, it's a little bit of both because the players actually playing and the coaches put them in position. But to me, coaching towards the end of the game is what actually doomed us. We have almost a little under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter with possession of the ball. You should try to salt the game away. First play, you're throwing the ball. On the first play when you should be running the ball, and then he runs out of bounds. So I don't understand those type of play calls. Every fan felt the same way who really understands the game. We've had games where we're up with 7 minutes left and we salt the game away, we put the opponent away. So I was hoping that's what was going to happen when it was 14-12, and they would run the ball a little bit against a team that doesn't have a good run defense, and they weren't particularly stopping the run, but they were just so pass heavy, and I can't understand the heavy pass strategy for the game.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of bugged me too was I felt very confident when Jalen threw that first interception. I think it was like the last 2 minutes of the game. He
Mhm,
threw that interception. We went on ahead and just let them score
mhm.
because we still have minutes on the clock to actually make a move. And for that move to just be a pass and turn into an interception was kind of disappointing. I was hoping we would just kind of just run the ball the entire time
Yeah, they had no
and hit
timeouts
them
at
with a
that
field
point.
goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just try to hit them with a field goal or something. So it was. I think on both sides there was a lot of mistakes that were made. So I think as long as we come back from it, learn from it, and get better at it, a lot of people aren't liking Brian Johnson right now for his play calling. My personal opinion that I think is with Jalen now being the this is now being his team. If Jalen doesn't feel like a play or any moves that they make is going to be beneficial to the team, Jalen should start speaking up on it. Because at the end of the day, he's a coach's person. He's a coach's kid, so he's going to listen to everything that the coaches are saying. But now, this is when we need his leadership the most on the field. So I think we're going to see a little bit of that more as moving forward throughout the weeks. Do you think the same, Jay?
Yeah, I think the same. I think he's a very coachable kid, and I feel like he's vocal. I mean, I think he's vocal enough. He's not like Carson, who wasn't vocal at all, and that was the problem with Carson. He couldn't move the locker room. He wasn't vocal, but I just think that the friend thing with Brian Johnson and knowing him, it's a cool story and everything. But as the weeks go on, and if the offense still looks stagnant compared to what we've been, he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna get more and more heat. He's
Exactly.
yo, he absolutely is under the microscope now. And I'm the one person who probably was, giving it a little bit of ease the first couple of weeks. Like, let's wait a little bit. And, I was hoping for some screens. They threw a screen, I think through two screens. It was just the pass heavy strategy is still just sitting with me. And it's just Seth Joyner said the same thing. Directly after the game, the first thing I thought about was just what was this about? Like, why do we have games where we just abandon the run completely? There's just games they do that when it's not going well, they just abandon the run completely. And like a lot of things to me cannot happen. Like Hurts cannot be the leading rusher, for example. He cannot be the leading rusher. He had 47 rush yards. Understanding the leading rusher for the team, that cannot happen. Like your quarterback cannot be. You have running backs for a reason. You understand? So the 45 pass attempts is a problem. That the first two interceptions were off deflections, and the second one, yeah, with Goddard, he dropped it, whatever, or the defender got it. But to be honest with you, I don't put that much blame on Jalen. But his late decision making mixed with the bad coaching was just a recipe. I'm praying that this is a bounce back game for him versus
Yeah, me
Miami.
too. Speaking on bounce back games, we'll move to some news and injuries. So, as far as the news, we all are aware of it. Julio Jones signed on with the Eagles for a 1 year contract. I think it's a good move as far as just put it for red zone play. I think it will be good having Julio Jones there, and for scheming up plays for other receivers other than AJ. Because lately it's been AJ who's been getting majority of the balls, majority of the catches, majority of the yards. So I think adding Julio in there kind of mixes it up to where Devontae Smith gets more balls and Dallas Goddard can get more balls thrown to him. Um, Jay, what do you think about Julio?
The Julio Jones pick, was head scratching at first. The first thing you think about is, why? What is he going to contribute to us if he was on at home and nobody signed him? But to be truthfully honest with you, we've spoken on this on previous podcasts. How he tends to get guys who are at home, not signed, and get the most out of them, and put them in position with the coaches, to for them to excel at the end of their career. So I don't think it's a bad move. He reunites with AJ, former teammate. I'm pretty sure he was a mentor to AJ early in his career. I think it's a good move. I think for Smitty, it's a good move. I just think his wisdom as a wide receiver is also valuable. Not only the play he could probably bring to the field. If he got something left and he feels he's physically capable, we gotta trust the man's word. People are doubting him already, but we haven't even seen him, on the field yet. Let's see what he looks like, wearing the midnight green. Let's see what he could produce at his age. And well, I'm pretty sure his wisdom is valuable enough to bring into this locker room and can even trickle down to the younger receivers like Quez and Zacchaeus.
Yeah. And when I first saw the move, I said, okay, that's a big name, but in all reality, we need secondary help.
Hmm.
Secondary help is what we need. So, yes, am I happy about the move? Yeah. Could we have used it somewhere else? Also, yes. So, what I'm assuming is we're so confident in our defensive line to where they're making the stops for us, but we're not playing complementary football to where once they get them down, get that sack, get that fumble, get that interception, or just simply just stop the offense, we're not following up with it with a touchdown. So I think that might be a reason why bringing Julio Jones in. And I know we had issues a lot in the red zone, so he can be a good red zone threat to a lot of defenses. So I'm looking forward to see how it goes. And also with Julio Jones not really performing up to everybody's expectations with the Titans and the Bucks, it's low risk, high reward. That's how he does it. So let's see how we perform. Next, we'll go on to the injuries. Sidney Brown was actually interviewed yesterday, and they asked him how does he feel. He said he feels 100% and he's ready to go. So that is a likely from him. Lane Johnson had a ankle injury from last game against the Jets. They said that it's nothing too serious, but he's expected to play against Miami. Also, Jalen Carter is questionable. Slay is questionable, Reed Blankenship, and Dallas Goddard is questionable with a groin. And these questionables just mean that they did not practice this week. So it's up in the air if they're going to play or not. But I have a very strong feeling that a lot of these players are gonna be they're gonna be
Suiting up.
active.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna be active Sunday morning, and I
yeah,
think that's more just their technique of just scheming up for the Dolphins and getting ready for them.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
as far as these injuries, the Sidney Brown one I like to hear, and the Lane Johnson one. Is there any injuries on here that you see that you see is gonna help us or hurt us?
Oh, definitely the Lane Johnson one. Well, let me tell you something. Every time he goes out mid-game, havoc creates. Every time Lane Johnson goes out mid-game, havoc creates. He's given up 8 pressures all season, right? And we all know he hasn't given up a sack since 2020. For context, Driscoll gave up 8 pressures in that game along with a sack. So that's just shows you how vital Lane Johnson is. Like he is needed on this team. He's part of the success of the Eagles. So his injury to me is very, I have a, I'm very concerned about it. If they're saying that he's gonna play, that a lot of people are speculating he's gonna play, but if he has to sit out and he has to sit out this game, he has to sit out. I would prefer for him to be available for the whole stretch down the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. And with those injuries and with that news, we're going to lead us into the Sunday night game against the Dolphins. This is going to be definitely a tester to see where we stand at, and it's also a tester for the Dolphins to see where they stand at. Um, I'll read you off some of just the defensive stats on both ends. The Miami Dolphins are ranked 20th in run defense, 19th in pass defense. The Philadelphia Eagles are ranked second in run defense, and they're ranked 20th in pass defense. So, me just simply reading off those stats, both teams are not very efficient as they could be on the pass defensive side. So that gives opportunity for Jalen, also gives opportunity for Tua. As far as the pass defense, they're ranked 20. We're ranked 19th, second on pass defense. Run defense. I apologize, and we're ranked second on run defense, and the Dolphins are ranked 20th on run defense. So that kind of answers the question there. What we should be doing majority of the time, or the type of attempts we should be making. Me personally, I think it should be run attempts. Uh, we also thought that last week, and we ended up getting the total opposite. Jay, just talking about the defense on both ends, uh, what do you see we match up at?
I think that their running game is pretty good, but they don't have that rookie A Kane that they had. He's on IR, so they just have Mostert as their primary back. I think our run defense is actually the strength of this whole team at the moment. Um, I just think that if we could pressure Tua to take him off his spot so he can't find Hill, because once Hill runs a route and then starts breaking loose, he can catch the ball anywhere on the field. So I just really hope our run defense could pressure Tua enough to just take him off his spot and make every throw difficult for him. Their defense is I've been doing my homework on them. They're not that good on defense. They're a highly offensive powered team. I just think that our run defense is going to be the difference in this game. And I'm hoping that the pass defense, even though it's in shambles, can do something to keep up with these guys. Because you saw the Jets last week have injuries and be able to overcome. So this team has to figure out a way to make a next man up mentality when it comes to the secondary.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm looking at their run defense is not that good. Their defense in general is both ranked at 20 for pass and
Yeah, it's not that
defense.
good to be quite frank. To be quite
So
honest, yeah.
yeah, and honestly, the Rams run defense and pass defense was ranked uh was ranked higher than theirs on both ends. So we saw how we competed against the Rams. So a lot of people are saying that we're going to get blown out. A lot of people are saying like we're going to Darius Slay or Bradbury is going to be put in a blender. But when you really look at this, they're going to be put in the same situation as well on their defense. So
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And they're
so
playing in
that's
Philly.
so that's what people are not thinking about. The Dolphins or their their strength is their pass offense. Our strength is our run defense. So if we can just simply throw Tua off what he's who he's planning on passing to and throw off his reads by him not wanting to get hit by Reddick, Sweat, Carter, Cox, like all these boys. If he's too worried about not getting hit rather than passing the ball accurately, then I think we have a chance in this game. And I think
But
that's our secret weapon.
another thing about this game too, Tua and Jalen were teammates, in Alabama. He got benched for him during the national championship. So to me, there's an edge there for Jalen facing Tua head on. I just think that the Eagles need to bounce back from that atrocious loss last week. People keep saying we haven't put a complete game together, so I would like to see a let's quote unquote a complete game. Let's just get this W. We're 5-1. A lot of fans are panicking, and I'm pretty sure like everybody's looking at the schedule that are non-Eagle fans. Like they're gonna go down the gauntlet. They're going down the gauntlet. But you know what? Right now, we can make a statement, like you said. This is a test for both teams, but I think it's more of a test for us than them.
Yeah. And that's the way I look at it. We'll move forward onto the offensive side. And this is where honestly both teams excel. Miami is ranked number one in pass offense, ranked number one in run offense. Philadelphia Eagles are ranked number two in run offense and ranked number nine in pass offense. So this is going to be a defensive game. Whichever defense can put a stop and put a hold on the other team is going to be the team to win. And we're all about the physicality. We seen Miami get stopped by the Bills. We seen that. So it's not like it
Yeah,
cannot be done.
it's
So
absolutely
it's going to be a good game, and I'm glad it's going to be Sunday night for everybody to see, and it might shut down a little bit of those crazy Miami fans that are just over the top right now on just how good they're doing.
I
But
know, I
uh,
know.
but
Humble
Jay,
them.
what do you think about the offense though?
Our offense, like I said, Brian Johnson, now he's under my microscope. The first 4 weeks I wasn't, because it's just, I don't, the creativity has got to change. And Smitty had those drops. This is the first time I could ever say, he struggled during the game. That was probably his worst game as a pro, and he knows it and he feels it. And he's not, he knows he's better than that. He is better than that. He knows that Smitty has very secure hands. It's just, it was not his day that day, and it's okay. It happens. He's human. It can happen. But to me, we got to feature him more again too, man. You just can't. This cannot just be the AJ show. Devontae Smith is a dog too. We got to get him involved. It's like I don't know if Hurts is having trouble spreading the ball because last year he didn't have that issue. So to me, once again, coaching has to put this team in position to where everybody can contribute and we can keep defenses honest and on their toes.
Yeah, and I rewatched the game, and while watching it, they're scheming up Goddard and Smith so the ball can go to AJ. And instead of that happening to AJ every time, it needs to get mixed up. It's got to get mixed up a little bit. Like everybody's got to get the ball. I personally think when Dallas Goddard gets more touches, we end up winning the game. We're usually more dominant when Dallas Goddard is getting a fair amount of touches. So because Dallas Goddard gets run after, he gets the yards after the catch. So the fact that he gets the yards after the catch, he's already a threat himself. And he was actually one of my players that I was thinking is going to have a breakout season this year, coming into the season. And I haven't seen that yet, but we still got more games to go, so we'll see. Um, Also, we'll be displaying the Kelly Green jerseys this Sunday night game. I think it's going to be fun. I'll be honest with you. In the very beginning, I was like, okay, the Kelly Green is cool, but as we get closer and closer to it, and the build up and just the marketing for it has been awesome. Like
Yeah, the
I'm
marketing
excited
has
to
been
see.
awesome for Kelly Green. I salute the Philadelphia Eagles and what they had the Kelly Green block party prior to the preseason. It's been a fun run with this, and I have my AJ Brown Kelly Green, so I'm ready to wear it on Sunday.
Yeah, I got a Carter jersey coming in, so we'll wait
Nice,
for that.
nice,
Yeah. So
nice.
but yeah, other than that, that's all we got for you guys. But I did want to bring in some news that did come up last night. So the NFL committee has now made it a rule to where any coaches that are up for the opportunity of a head coaching position cannot interview or even be spoken to until the season is over.
Hmm.
Um, Now, y'all know the reason why I'm bringing this up with Jonathan Gannon uh,
Hmm.
being offered the
Arizona.
position to the Cardinals before the Super Bowl started, then the day after the Super Bowl, interviewing with them. They saw how that may have thrown off the game a little bit on the defensive end of that Super Bowl. So, with that being said, I just want to put that on notice
That's
that,
cool. I don't even know that. I didn't even see that, Warren. So I'm gonna definitely look that up when I'm done here. So, cause I feel like him having his focus on that job definitely messed up his vision with that game, and then that's just me.
yeah, and for the Eagles to keep it quiet and keep it professional and not make it a big ordeal. That's one of the things that I like about the organization. They're not making a big deal about it, but they did bring it to the NFL, and they have now made that now a policy now. So we won't be seeing any playoffs, and we hear about coaches getting picked up in the middle of the playoffs because it is a distraction. It's a huge distraction. But yeah, other than that, Jay, you got any last minute things?
Yeah, no, nothing last minute to say. I'm just excited for the Kelly Green, and hopefully these birds could put a complete game together, and ball distribution is good, and could maybe have a more balance and pass. With a run. I just hope we put it together finally, quote unquote.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, this is the Eagles Collective. Thanks for joining us. And if you guys ever want to come on and hop on and just talk bird talk with us, let us know. Reach out in the comments below. But we'll talk to y'all soon.
Peace.